I first wanted to start by welcoming you all to Entrepreneur School and to let you know that this is a platform for you all to meet each other as well. So please take a moment to drop in the chat your contact information, who you are, what you do, just in case somebody here needs baby clothes or a chaos coordinator, or those are the two people who I actually know what you do. So meet each other, because sometimes you just never know where you're going to find your next referral or lead or client or PR opportunity or somebody to help you get somewhere. Drop-in childcare service in Edmonton. Cool. Yes. And tell me where you're coming in from, because sometimes we forget about the potential for reach when we're using the internet. I was speaking to a lady this morning in Finland who connected through previous events that I was doing. So sometimes I live in this little world where it feels like I'm just Cochrane in Calgary area, but it's so not true. So for those of you who I haven't met yet, welcome. And we are broadcasting from my basement, KS&Co headquarters in Cochrane, Alberta. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. And we're going to get started. So typically, well, it still is, Entrepreneur School is a super casual format for learning something new for your business. And I bring in different experts from all around the world on different topics related to entrepreneurship, growing a business, whether it's mindset, whether it's new skill, whether it's something really specific like productivity we have coming up, we have hiring coming up. And our last couple of speakers were like a content strategist and a mindset person talking about intuitive business decision making. So awesome. Welcome, Brandy. So today I thought, hey, I'm going to take the stage of the platform that I created and talk to you about the things that I do, which is within the realm of branding and marketing. And since I do a lot of trainings, I just happen to have some slides. So I'm going to use them, but I also want you to know that it's very conversational, very much feel free to put in the chat if you have a question, if something comes up, or literally unmute and just like yell. It's totally fine and totally acceptable to do that. And so we'll have lots of time for Q&A within this session as well. So I'm just gonna get my screen going here where I can see it. All right, y'all can all see that? Okay, super. Okay, so yes, hi, this is me. Over at KS&Co, which is the umbrella company for my business and under which falls Entrepreneur School, we work with passionate entrepreneurs on developing brand and marketing strategies, and also provide some services through our studio, such as website, graphic design, social media, and doing lots of training and workshops through this platform called Entrepreneur School. So if you're not already following on Instagram, we have two different accounts. We have the KS&Co account, which is going to be focused primarily on branding and marketing stuff, and then the Entrepreneur School account, where you're going to get introduced to all of the wonderful people who can help you along this journey that you are on as a business owner. So for today's workshop, we're going to break it down into sort of three key parts. The first one is branding, talking about what branding is and how you can apply it into your business. Then talking about marketing and how to create a customized marketing strategy. And then lots of Q&A time. So I'll also interrupt myself in the middle to make sure that I'm checking the chat. And if you have questions along the way, please do let me know. So I often talk to business owners, and there's this, what's the word I'm looking for? There's this belief out there that what we need to do in order to get visibility is post on social media, right? Because on one hand, it's great because you have like unlimited reach because the whole world is there. But on the other hand, the whole world is there. So it's a little bit noisy on social media. And what you're trying to do is create content, but you don't really know what to post. So you got to get hung up. And the reality is the content that you're putting out there really needs to be tied into what your brand is all about. And when you think about it, social media is actually a marketing tactic. It's a place to apply your messaging. And so therefore you need to really know what that messaging actually is before it's going to kind of flow out of you. And you're going to be able to create the content that you actually want that gets the message across that you're looking to share. And when you're not really clear about that messaging, part of the challenge is also typically understanding who your ideal client is. So you need to know who you're talking to. So what are you going to say? Who are you talking to? And make it very specific, because nobody responds very well to generalized phrasing to something that's trying to like address a big audience at one time. And that is, again, we're just kind of like reverse engineering a challenge here, which is if you don't know who your ideal client is, you really need to go back to what matters to you as a brand. And at the end of the day, if you don't know your brand, you don't really know what you are marketing. So you need to be clear on that brand in order to know what you're marketing in the first place, before you think about where you're marketing or what you're going to say or any of those pieces. So let's dive into a few myths when it comes to branding, because usually I say, hey, what do you guys think branding is? You can unmute, you can put it in the, in the chat. The first one is here. Most people are like logos, visuals, colors, right?
Yeah, usually I would say values.
Ah, love it. Yes, that's definitely a huge part of it. But on the visual side, yes, these are important. Nice way to bring consistency to what you put out there. But you have to really understand what it is that comprises your brand. And that is huge. The values, what you care about, what you're trying to accomplish, what your bigger mission is, all of those things then kind of come into what does that look like? That's an application of that. So knowing what your brand is all about, who's your audience, and what kind of personality that you want to portray as well. That all then gets reflected into the visual side of things. And I know that we all want to have the kind of recognition that companies like Amazon and Apple have, but there's definitely advantages to being the small brand, right? And specifically, way more opportunity, I think, to bring your personality and have that personal touch in the small brand. Is why we love shopping locally at locally owned stores where we know the owners and we know, their kids, and we know what their favorite colors are, and we know certain things about them. We have that kind of connection and the opportunity to feel special when we support, when we engage, when we are part of that whole experience. And, building trust is really part of what a strong brand can do. And it's really important to your customers and to the people who you are trying to attract into your business, whether that be partners or collaborators or anything, to have that trustworthy relationship with you. So while we can easily understand branding in terms of products, like looking at a label on your clothing or your device or something else that you use, branding certainly doesn't stop there. And when we think about branding, so if you're a service-based business, part of that is thinking about what can people expect when they work with you, when they hire you. What is that experience like? What are you delivering for them? Not just in terms of the actual tangible pieces, but the way that you're engaging with them. And so what are some of the special touches that you can provide that help them to feel confident in their choice to work with you, hire you, buy from you, etc.? So the message that you need to share, the actual part of the experience, if they come into your store, what does that all look like and feel like from the client side? And this is just my favorite definition of branding, which is from Jeff Bezos. And he says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So it's your reputation, really. It's the most valuable thing that you have. And you need to think about how you want people to talk about you and what are the things that you can do that might actually influence what that looks like. So this is the way that I like to teach people how to create their brand. And it's three core parts, and I call it my magic brand formula. So when you're thinking about identifying your brand, we go who you are plus who you're for plus why it matters. And to me, this is really about building a brand from the inside out, which is what allows you to be authentic and to really stand out in what makes you different than anybody else who does something similar to you. Because we know that there's lots of clothing stores, there's lots of virtual assistants, there's lots of childcare options, there's lots of those things out there, but there's something unique about the way that you do it and what you bring to the table that you just need to be able to identify and then share. So breaking this down, the who you are is, this is what you were saying, Jocelyn, this is the values, this is the personality, this is the story, this is the why behind what you do. So being really clear and understanding. And I realized after, doing this work for a few years now, and the first thing that I ask people is like, who are you? They're like, like, wait a minute, that's a little deep. That's a little personal. Actually, I don't know. and it's true. Like, we don't spend enough time thinking about this sometimes, like having that really reflective kind of, whether it's a journaling process that you go through or somebody you have to talk to about it, or, some guided way of trying to nail this down and have that clarity about who you are is deep work. So I want to acknowledge that it takes some time and some effort and some willingness to get real with yourself to get that clarity about who you really are. Then from there, we talk about who you're for. So this is because I think it is super important that you identify your clients or your customers as people who are compatible with you. Like Simon Sinek does a lot of the work on brand and culture and kind of mission and vision and that kind of stuff. And he said, you don't want customers, I'm paraphrasing, but you don't want customers who want to buy what you have to sell. You want people who believe what you believe. And when you're aligned in that way and you understand your values and beliefs, and then you can be clear about what they would have to value and believe in order to, hire you, they have to understand that, the problem that they have is something that you can solve and they really care about it. I like to use personal fitness trainers as an example, because the reality is everybody could benefit from exercising more, from having a trainer, from spending more time like focused on their health, but not everybody wants to. And so not everybody is actually placing that at the top of their values at this current time. So if you're the trainer, you should be aware if you feel like you're trying to convince somebody that this is what they need, because it's what they need. We all know that whatever we have is the thing that the people that we can help needs, right? But if they don't want it, they're not going to buy it. and they're not going to buy it because they don't value it. So you just need to be able to be a little more clear about who does value that. What is their experience? What are the challenges that they're going through? What are the stories they're telling themselves? What are the problems that they are actually aware of right now? And then that compatibility piece comes into play where you go, okay, so I'm for the people who I am for, and not for convincing anybody that they should have what I have. And I think it takes a lot to kind of accept that too, because, especially as business owners, we're really passionate about the things that we do, right? We think that everybody should do this thing, or the world would be better if more people would just fill in the blank thing that you do, buy organic food or support a small brand or like whatever it is. But it's okay that not everybody is there yet. They'll come around. You'll find your people, right? And then the third piece of this equation is why it matters. So this is the ability to actually articulate how you are the bridge between what somebody needs and so their problem and their ambition. So I like to think about like they have something that they need, want, or trying to solve. And this is relevant to you whether or not you are a service-based business. And they have this like vision of their life that they want to achieve. And you have a role to play in getting them there. So how do you actually communicate that, right? So this is the messaging behind all of it. So when you're clear about the brand side of things and you understand kind of how to articulate that, what you stand for, your story, what you're all about, who your audience is, it makes it so much easier to create a marketing strategy. You know much better what types of things, platforms you should be on, where you might actually reach the right people, what kind of messaging you would actually need to say in order to reach those people, all of it. And we're going to go into detail about marketing strategy here as well. But I think that, understanding your brand is a bit undervalued. It has so many potential applications. When you are clear on your brand, it helps you with your business expansion plans. I was recently working with a local client just to like get their whole team on the same page about the vision for the company and how it can shift and change and what it would look like if they expand, add new offers, etc., and how to stay like rooted in integrity in what their core values are. So when you're thinking about adding new products or services, it can help you determine if you want to create something new. So does this new thing align with your values? And is it something that your ideal clients are actually looking for, right? It also can help you with hiring. So finding the right people who are in line with your values, who will get excited about being part of your mission on what you're trying to achieve with what you're doing with your company. And finding people who are going to, behave and engage and provide the level of customer service and bring the right kinds of expertise and things like that to your team is really part of staying in line with your brand. And it can set the tone for how your business behaves internally and how you can have staff become ambassadors for what you're doing. So the best kind of staff are the ones who are talking about you, telling people about you, and helping build more awareness about your brand, even when, they're not working. And then sometimes you might have opportunities to partner with people or collaborate on things. So whether that's a brand partnership or you bringing somebody in to like support you on something, subcontract something, create an event. Like, do you want to sponsor a local event? How are you going to assess whether that's something that you want to do? You want to make sure that, the organization or the event itself or the audience is all in line with what you are doing, what you stand for as a brand. So like a little bit of a stretch example for you. We have a Boys and Girls Club because I know there's a day at a childcare facility here on the call. We have a Boys and Girls Club in Cochrane, and they put on a concert with Gord Bamford. So he's a country artist who is really supportive of communities and children's programming and things like that. So it makes sense that they work together and put on an event, right? I'm sure there's lots of other kinds of, musical artists who might not be a good fit for a childcare company concert. And so, so the sponsorships too, I was just sort of mentioning, are opportunities for you to put your name on something, to provide funding usually, but even like thinking about how you might volunteer within your community. What kind of organizations would you want to be a part of that are aligned with what you're trying to do? So I was always part of the Chamber of Commerce because I work with entrepreneurs and I support small businesses, and it made total sense to me to be part of another organization that does that as well. So to wrap up this section, really branding and marketing are very linked, right? Your brand is who you are and marketing is how you tell people about it. So you really need that clarity about your brand before you know what you're marketing. So I feel like I've already been like shooting a fire hose at you for 20 minutes. Are there any questions about branding specifically right now? Or like things that I didn't even touch on, like, oh, I thought branding was this, or how do I decide this? Okay.
Yeah, nothing's coming to mind immediately.
Okay. That's fine. I just want to make sure I can still see everybody. Okay, let's go back here. All right. Now for the marketing. I love this definition of marketing, which is attracting the people that you want and repelling those that you don't. So your marketing should do both of those things. Essentially, what you're putting out there gives people an opportunity to judge you, to say yep or nope. And both are good, because when somebody can easily see how they could benefit or why they want the thing that you have or why they don't, like we're giving everyone the blessing of not wasting anybody's time, right? If somebody is a little bit confused, you know the phrase like a confused mind never makes a decision. So if there's a lack of clarity there, people are just going to not be sure whether you are right or you're not right for them. And then they don't take an action and then nothing happens, right? So here is a high level framework around marketing, and it's called the 3 M's. So there's 3 pieces. The first one is your market. Who are you actually trying to reach? Who are the people who you want, who are a good fit for your products or your services? And be really clear about that. Not just the demographic stuff. Sometimes demographics are important. Like I know, Jocelyn, you have a kids clothing store. So you're looking for people who have kids in their lives. So, which is still a lot of people. It's parents, it's friends, it's aunts and uncles and grandparents, all of those people. But you know, if they hate children or they don't have anybody who has children in their lives, then they don't really need the products that you sell at the kids clothing store, right?
True.
And the other important demographic piece, if you have a brick and mortar location or you physically need to be somewhere to deliver your services, is going to be the geographic area, right? So the Edmonton area childcare facility, you're looking at people who are in the Edmonton area. And that's relevant as a demographic because if you're doing any sort of advertising, you can make sure that you're only reaching into the areas that are actually going to be able to access you. But for people who, if you have an online shopping opportunity, like that can allow you to expand further, I'm able to do a lot of my work virtually. So it doesn't really matter to me where somebody is located in order for them to be able to work with me. But I've seen so many like worksheets and programs that talk to you about who's your ideal client, and they get you to do all this demographic stuff, like create a profile of this person and what's her name and how old is she and how many children does she have and does she like dogs and does she drink, what kind of drink does she order when she goes to Starbucks? And I'm like, how is that relevant sometimes? So what's really more relevant is coming into that values and problems that we were talking about on the branding side of things. So the second M is the message, which is what are you going to say? So being clear about, okay, we have a promotion. We want them to do this particular thing. We want them to know this particular thing. We want to talk to them and teach them about this topic. We want to bring this kind of thing to their awareness. What is that message? And being clear about, one message at a time when you're marketing yourself is important too. And then the last piece is the medium. So how are you going to reach the target market with your message? So I know that this isn't like an equation or a formula, but this is in a specific order, which is that medium is last. And most of the time people hear, that I'm a marketing strategist. And the first thing they say is, where should I market myself? I'm like, well, it depends who you're trying to reach and what you're going to say. Because if you can put it through those couple of filters, it'll really help you to make a decision about where you might want to show up to share that message. And again, it underscores why it's so important to have clarity about your brand before you try and determine where to market. Joss?
This is for sure, like medium is for sure where I have like basically an infinity amount of questions. Like that's where I struggle. Like I know my market, I know my message, but like which one's the right path and how do you reach people? And that's I almost like need a list of all the mediums because I feel like I don't know all of them. But
well, yeah. Then this slide will help you.
Right.
Yes. So we're definitely going to talk about this. And I think we could talk about it forever because at the high level, the answer is everything works and also everything doesn't work. Like you can't do everything at the same time. But as a good starting point, this is called the Peso model. And it was developed by a company called Spin Sucks. And I really like it because it breaks things down into 4 different areas. And it doesn't really matter what all of these millions of bullet points are. You can Google this, you can screenshot this, that's fine. But the idea is that you work with a combination of paid, earned, owned, and shared media. So I'll break each of those down here as well. The paid is obvious. You pay for it. So you pay to play. The good thing about it is that your message will be delivered exactly as you choose, and it's restricted really only by your own budget and sort of the specs of whatever kind of placement. So size, number of words you're allowed, things like that. So this would be things like social media ads or boosting posts, doing digital ads, maybe radio, print, or TV advertising, if that seems like it's relevant to you, or doing things like paid partnerships or listings. So sometimes there are Facebook groups that you can pay to be part of so that you can make promotional posts to an audience that they have that's already engaged. You might want to pay to attend an event like a baby and tot show or a trade show or something like that to get exposure for your business. So those are the kinds of things that you can pay for. Is that the end of my paid ones? Oh yeah, and then sponsorships. So again, this is the idea for, you get signage or media coverage or something for being part of something. So this one is usually, I'd love to know what you guys think about advertising. So I'm like a PR person my background is PR, which is really the earned side of things. And I think that there's a place for sure for having a paid component of what you're doing, but at the same time, it's hard to see ROI, and these things can get really expensive, like especially TV advertising, like it's insane. And I work for a tourism association, and like we're like, no, like just to be on a media channel, it's like in the thousands of dollars and can be even more than that. Like, what Super Bowl ads go for, right? Like to be in front of that audience for like 15 seconds, it's like millions of dollars. So it can get a little bit crazy. Has anyone like experimented with paid advertising of any kind?
I've tried the odd like boost of a post or an ad. I tried one Google ad, but like I don't have experience in that. I would almost rather pay someone to do it that knows how to do it because I saw like zero come back for it. But it's like a $12 ad. Like I can't expect to see thousands of dollars in revenue. I don't know I guess I don't know what I should expect, what my expectation should be. Yeah. But I don't know how to find people that do that either. I find that's really tricky.
Right. We tried radio, but it was way out of budget. Yeah. It can be expensive for sure. Especially in like a big city, right? Like Edmonton. Those platforms, they kind of charge based on what they say that their reach is. But first of all, radio has absolutely no way of saying for sure how many people are listening. There's zero way to actually measure that. And the other piece around advertising is a lot of the time it's you advertise now, somebody sees it and they take action like 6 months from now, and you really have no way of knowing unless you're asking every single person who, you know, comes through the door how they found you, and then they tell you that it was because of an advertising campaign. Like there's some challenges around that for sure. Shayla, you're unmuted. Do you have a question or a comment?
No, I was just say I've paid for Facebook ads before. I haven't really been super successful with them. I just find that, you know, the demographics that you put in aren't necessarily what you're looking for. And I only realized this after I took the branding course with you. Because before, women, you know, between this age and this age, and it's really not even what I'm looking for. So
yeah. And then there are so many like technical things around advertising, especially on social media, that I personally find it overwhelming as well. And we did a small boost actually for this event. So I'm curious if anybody who's here found me because of a sponsored ad.
I sponsored ad, but I saw it before that.
Oh yeah. So it's retargeting you. So it's like advertising at people who are already know who I am and stuff, that's fine too. Because sometimes we just need a reminder, right?
I found you on the boosted ad.
Well, there we go. ROI. Thank you.
If I may, I have my granddaughter is here with me today, so I'm dual purposing here. Okay. But I am just learning to experiment with Facebook and Instagram. I'm in my 50s, and it's a bit of a challenge. However, I will share a quick success story. A month and a half ago, I boosted some posts, 3 different posts, 2 on Instagram, 1 on Facebook. And my whole bill for the about 7 or 8 days that I advertised over 2 weeks was about $7.85, and my return on it was just about $900 in services. So
awesome.
I claim it as a success in my industry. That kind of return is pretty good.
That I think anybody would like that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to use it. Actually, to be quite honest, I didn't read this quite close enough, but I am enjoying the program. But I actually thought it was more about on teaching people social media advertising. So, but yeah. Not saying that you're not doing a splendid job. So.
Well, thanks. But yeah, that is like a very intricate and detailed thing. And from my experience in, you know, working in online business for like 5 years, it is something that I too would defer to an expert who studies it and does it all day long rather than the DIY version of it. It's challenging for sure. I'll have some updates on that though, because I am actually engaging somebody to help with some advertising strategies. So stay tuned. Cool. I will share when I learn more.
That'd be awesome.
Right on. Okay, so that's kind of like the paid perspective of things. Then earned media is awesome because you don't pay for the exposure, but you also don't own the platform. So media stories really is a huge part of this, news articles or features. You can submit opinion pieces, you can do pitches around things like that people are thinking about. So, you know, back to school shopping or something that is timely around finding childcare for summer break and what to do with your kids in the summer, or even just like thinking about after school programming when kids go back to school. Like, when are people thinking about these things? Because the media needs to reach people and give them timely stories, in particular, things that are helpful to their audiences. Another thing that falls under this category of earned media would be influencer shout outs. So getting somebody uses your brand or is bought some of your kids' clothing, Jocelyn, and is, sharing a picture of it, even if they're not like a huge influencer, just anybody coming in like as a testimonial or endorsement, somebody just showing kind of your products and your services in action is helpful. And it's just you getting to reach to their audience as well.
This has been one of our biggest successes for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
And do you ask for people to come in? Like, are you inviting quote influencers in to try things?
Yeah, we've done both. Like some we've asked to come in, some we've traded like product for a shout out kind of thing. And others like have come in and then shared. And we're like, holy cow, like this was very unexpected. And yeah, it's definitely helped our reach.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And then awards here. So if you ever win an award for something, talk about it like crazy. Don't forget. And then just the idea of reviews and referrals. So that word of mouth, getting feedback from clients, getting people to share their reviews, if you have a process, if you capture people's email addresses when they buy something or whatnot, and you make sure that you're sending a note to asking them to leave a review or send you a testimonial or send you a picture that they can use or whatever. Sometimes it's challenging to get those, but if you can come up with ways to sort of automate your requests and make sure that you're doing it regularly, that's always helpful too. And then sharing those on your various platforms. So I think I gotta flip ahead in my slides for a second. Yes, never mind. I am going to go there in a minute. I'm going to go through like the pros and cons of each of these after too. So the shared media is where you own the content, but not necessarily the platform or what anyone else decides to say or do with your content. So this is social media. You're like, this is my content, but I don't own Instagram. And this is what I want to put out there, but I cannot prevent those million spammy messages that come and say, promote it on this page and send it here and send us a DM. Can't prevent those. You can't, guarantee if somebody's going to see it. You have no clue whether something is going to go viral or get a lot of views, and it's not really yours. But, we still have to be there and show up and create content for these channels. Unpaid listings on other platforms. So Google My Business, if for the childcare company, I just did a thing with a day home agency, which is where this presentation was from. So childcare platforms, if there's a place for you to like list your business that you don't have to pay for, that will be getting traffic that somebody else is driving traffic to. That's kind of the idea here, like being creative about what those might be. And then unpaid partnerships. So when somebody else shares your content for you. So this is going out. This would be for both the childcare agencies and for even you, Jocelyn, with the child clothing store, is like they're sending it out on their newsletter. Or I know you have like kind of a partnership with the local pharmacy and they even like put you're at the till there, right? Like things like that, where they're sharing their audience with you in some way, shape, or form.
Makes sense.
And the owned media. Okay, so you own the content here, you own the platform. It's all yours. You have full control over it. Your website is the most obvious of those things. When you think about your website, it's not about you, it's about how you help them. So make sure that your website is super easy to navigate and give them the information that they want up front. So one of the things I see that is, I would say, is a bit of a website no is like the first thing that's there is like about us. It's like, it's not about you. It's about what is the customer there for? Like, they do want to get to know you. Yes, they do want to know your story. That should be there. But like within the first 10 seconds, it's not even that. If people say like 4 seconds now, they're going to make a judgment about like, is this something that I want? Can I browse? Can I shop? Can I book a call? Can I do something and learn more about how I can go further with the person whose website that I am on? Content marketing is anything customized that you create in order to add value to your audience. So articles or blogs that you put on your website would be one of those things, or your newsletters. So email marketing is owned. And videos, images, or graphics. So if you're capturing video footage or creating videos or getting professional photography done or creating custom graphics for your business that are branded for you, that all kind of falls into this owned category. So my big caution here is don't build your brand on borrowed land. So I just realized maybe my fonts aren't coming through properly here. That's okay. So this means do not skip over having some owned something. One of the biggest things that I see is that you don't even have your own website. So everything that you're doing is on social media, which means that, if Instagram or Facebook shut down tomorrow, you would lose all of your contacts, all of your content, the entire online presence that you're establishing. So make sure that you're backing that up. And if you don't have a way of actually collecting contact information, whether it's through a form or you're doing some kind of email marketing, then how are you actually getting leads from the tools that you're using, right? I'm just going to stop the share for a second because I care about what my fonts look like, you guys, because I'm a brand strategist and something was looking funny there. So I just need to pop it back open again. Any questions on that while I am rearranging myself? Still not working. It's fine. I'm just using Canva and, technology problems. So this looks exactly the same as what it looked like a minute ago. So don't worry. All right. So let's go through a few pros and cons for a minute, because for paid, there's a lot of benefits for sure. Like you have significant control of the content and the message that you're putting out there. Like an advertising, like the platform, the newspaper, the radio, the Facebook ad, they are not going to change anything about what you give them. You give them the picture, you give them the words, you give them the link, you tell them exactly where you want it to go, and that's where it goes. So that's great. But you have no real guarantee on the conversions, and it ends when you stop paying. So it doesn't have any legs. There's no shelf life on your advertising campaign. Although, as we were discussing before, you don't really know if somebody hears it now and they might take action on it like 6 months from now. Earned media is amazing in that it is a significant credibility booster. So anytime somebody else says something for you that's good about you, it's worth a little bit more than when you say it about yourself. Although you still have to say it about yourself too. So don't not do that. But we have no control over pickup. So I do a lot of media pitching for clients, and you never know if they're actually going to pick something up. I've spent hours and created amazing news releases with tons of great quotes in them, and planned all these events. And then, the day of the event, at sea train derails downtown Calgary, or some big crisis happens and the media goes there instead. So you really no control over whether that's going to work. Sometimes, looking at including publications that are a little longer lead. And what I mean by that is like a magazine or something that's doing like editorial planning kind of months in advance can be good. So both for the Calgary and Edmonton areas, Avenue magazine, if you have anything that's of relevance to their readers, food, restaurants, activities, cool products, things that are unique to those audiences. But they plan their editorial like 3 months in advance, which is kind of crazy to wrap your head around when you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I don't even know what we're doing tomorrow. But getting into publications like that can be really great. So the shared media pros are, it creates engagement, right? This is social media, etc., is a great tool to use to build relationships and have conversations with people and allow that to evolve and be natural and be like really like creating connection. And so that's one really great reason to use some of those platforms. However, again, you don't really have control over the comments or what happens, or if somebody shares something, if you put something out there without thinking about it and somebody shares something, and that kind of stuff can happen. Also, it's totally a long game. So that's why I say it's part of your strategy, because that's something that's just going to be like a slow wheel turning in the background happening, not necessarily the place where you're going to be making a lot of sales or a lot of getting a lot of clients really quickly, but that can happen too. And then, so on the owned media side, you have full control of your content and your message when you have the platform, right? So again, everything that you say is what the words you want, the pictures you want, the way you want to position it. And that's really great because you get the time, you get to think about what those things all are. And then also, you own your website, you own your email list, you own those contacts and the relationships that you've built. But you got limited organic reach. So that can be challenging if you're not putting some ad spend or some money even behind, SEO on your website and stuff like that to actually try and drive traffic there. Organic reach can be challenging. So to answer your question from a long time ago, Jocelyn, how do we choose where we should be? So here are a few high-level tips, and then we can talk some details. So select something from each of the 4 types of media and think about how you can focus on each of those, like occasionally throwing in some kind of a paid thing, which might be even, like you said, just providing a product that costs you money, providing product in order to get an influencer to do a shout out. Like that could be your paid thing. Especially if you're specific about what you want to get out of it. Like you have to make 1 post or 5 stories or, send an email or do whatever it is. Committing to consistency is a huge part of this. So whatever you're doing, do it for more than a minute. So make sure that you're like, okay, I'm going to do media pitching, and I'm going to pitch every 2 weeks for the next 6 months to see where that goes, like to build that up. Social media, for example, you definitely need to show up regularly there in order to build relationships and allow that channel to actually work for you. But don't try to be everywhere. So not too many things in your strategy, because you have limited resources in terms of your time, in terms of people on your team, your budget, all of it. And it's a little more effective to have more showing up in one platform than a little bit of like spaghetti on the wall all over the place, right? And test. So if the $7 paid advertising campaign worked really well, I would definitely try that again. So see if it keeps working, like refine something. Don't just change it because for the sake of changing it, to try something new, or to follow the shiny object syndrome because you saw somebody say, oh, well, email marketing is the way to go. I have to do this now. Or I need to be on TikTok because everybody's getting on TikTok. So should we go on TikTok now? Like, you guys, I'm not on TikTok. I'm refusing to go on TikTok, even though I'm sure I could very easily repurpose a lot of the content I already create, but I don't want to right now. And so I'm not going to spread myself too thin and do that. And then the last thing is scaling up for launches. So if you're wanting to promote an event or a special offer or something new, think about adding more to your mix during the time when you want more attention on your business. So even if it's summer programming or a summer sale or a back to school sale or something that you really want to smash out of the park, do a few extra things or do more in each of the things that you're doing at that time in order to just get more visibility and kind of double down on the different platforms that you're using. So that's my fire hose of content.
Can I say one thing to that, please, Kelly?
Please, yes.
The one experience that I've had with exactly what you just talked about is putting something out there for a specific event. For example, grads and a concert or something like that. In my industry, limos go to concerts. The one downside of social media advertising is Facebook and Instagram. They have to proof the ad or proof your boost. So it's not like, okay, I hit boost and it goes right now. It usually takes, anywhere up to 30 hours, 36 hours for that boost to go. So you really have to pre-plan those kind of things, I think. So that's one experience that I've had. It's a terrible experience, but it's also just a learning experience. So I'm forethinking ahead of time now to plan, 4, 5, 6 days in advance of something coming up so that I can hit my boost today so it boosts for the next 4 days. So
yes, that is such a good point on the advertising side for sure. But even when you're thinking about other marketing tools that you can use to help you with something that you're launching or something that's timely, and trying to plan, even if you can, like you're aware now, like in your industry, times when people want limos, concert season, grad season, wedding season, and those often are even all kind of the same season. So thinking about, spending more time advertising and promoting during that, call that the summer season, than you might do in the winter to kind of allow you to front end some revenue or like create some more revenue at one time. So being able to plan it out and also space things out too, right? Because you don't want to be like feeling like you're launching or doing like a big promotion every 5 days, because then that's just going to sound a little bit noisy too, or feel draining.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you.
Yeah. I talked about this when I hosted a workshop back in the winter, trying to talk about being proactive around like seasons of launching. And sometimes when we have a company that, the thing is for sale all the time, like you can always hire the limo, you can always put your kids, like we're always doing enrollment for childcare, and I'm always selling clothing, or I'm always selling my service. How do we think about that in terms of being able to kind of do a launch? And I'm using that word loosely because there's a lot of different definitions, I guess, in the online coaching, online business world, online marketing world around what launching is. Because sometimes that means like a whole big email sequence and social media post every day and showing up live on your stories and doing all this stuff and putting a lot of energy behind it. But thinking about like, when do you want people's attention to be on one particular thing that you do? Like, when is a good time for you based on, what you think seasonally in your business, or something that you want to promote at a certain time? When are you looking to have a revenue boost? If you have a hard time getting clients in February for some reason, or for me, it's like April. My clients, some of my bigger clients work on a grant cycle. So the government grant cycle refreshes and I don't know anything for the month of April. So maybe I should promote a different offer in the month of April, so that I have, some clients coming in for that time, right? And even though those things technically are available all the time, if one of the principles of marketing is scarcity and another one is urgency. So both of those things combined together mean limited availability, something that you need to buy, but by a certain date. So incentivizing people to purchase something by a certain date by adding a bonus to your package. Maybe they get a bottle of something in the limo, right? If they book by a certain day for grad. So things like that can help just differentiate your standard service or your standard product at a specific period in time based on what you want and what you know behind the scenes in your business. All right.
Perfect. Yeah, that's kind of what I do already. And I know, when things are happening. However, when there's a time where I have a limo that's I know is going to be sitting for, say, the Dallas Smith concert, I promote it, or I try to remember to promote it, 6-7 days in advance, because I know it's going to take 36 hours. Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, you're in Regina. I'm in Calgary. I was like, I was at the Dallas Smith concert last weekend.
It was last weekend for us too. So, and I did have people go to it. But,
oh yeah, he came to us the day after.
It's other concerts and other events that you go, oh, hey, I got a limo that's going to be sitting. Geez, I better promote it. And you promote it, but you promote it too late. And so that's been my experience in the past. And so I've learned from it. But I think it would happen in any industry, like kids clothing or childcare. Childcare, people are going to look for childcare in July and August for their fall programs. So, you kind of got to lead up to it. If we've all been in our businesses long enough, we know kind of where our ups and downs of our businesses is. And in your case, I feel bad for you, because I know, having a wife that works in the government, there's no way, unless they're spending last minute dollars, they're not spending anything in the month of April.
Right. Exactly.
So you gotta, it's kind of your vacation time, to be quite honest.
Yeah. It's like, if this is April is my January.
And for me, February and March is usually my really slow time. So.
Right. So exactly. So, and that kind of comes back to that really knowing your client, knowing when they're thinking about the thing that you have. So it's starting to get a little crazy. My neighbors have kids who are graduating, and I think they were, buying grad dresses and booking services and doing all that at least in February, right? They're not doing like last minute. Like, some people are last minute. That's cool. And you're there for them when they've called. You're the 8th person they've called and they couldn't get a limo, and you save the day. But you want to be a little bit more proactive and knowing where your business is coming from too, as much in advance as you can.
I'd like to say that you're correct. However, in Saskatchewan, they kind of leave it all to the last month. Like, I'm still getting lots of calls and messages about grads that are coming up in the next 35 days. So
right.
It kind of sucks, but I just learned to accept that that's how they do it. Most clients, that's what they do around grad season. It's like they forget. Even with weddings, we have the same problem with weddings where people will forget. Plus, we have some bad companies who have recently thrown away a bunch of buses, got rid of a bunch of buses, and then just phoned their clients and said, we're canceling all your weddings. And so put a lot of people in a lurch for that. So, but everything that you're talking about is some amazing information. So I will be listening on, and hopefully we have a conversation with some of the other people there too.
Yeah, awesome. Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts, or even just want to, talk through what your kind of main challenge is when it comes to marketing and knowing what to do? Like, I know that's a very general thing, and even though I'm a marketing strategist, I'm always creating, like, just if this helps you feel better. Anytime I work with a company, with a business, with an organization, like whatever size, it's always going to be different. Like, the mix, what's going in that plan is always going to be different, because a lot of it is like, if you like doing social media and you want to show up and do videos and like do all that, then you should do that, because a huge part of it is actually your energy behind what you're doing. If you're like, I hate writing emails, I don't want to make an email, like somebody getting that email is probably going to feel that a little bit. And there's something huge to be said about the energy that you put into the things that you put out there, and making sure that that's like in alignment with your brand as well. Jocelyn.
Question. So one thing you didn't mention as an option is like mail out or print out media. And one of the things we're considering is literally putting a flyer out and doing a direct mail to all the houses in Cochrane, for example, because then at least you know like someone had to touch it. But I have no data on whether or not that's smart. So is that something you don't recommend, or?
I think so. I've done things like that too, because so in Cochrane, I've been part of like the gift guide, which is mailed to every single house.
Right.
And it's never going to be, nothing you do is going to be 100% effective, right? Because there's people who literally will just take their entire newspaper and throw it, not even take the elastic band off of it, right? But then there's people who, if you get it actually into the mailbox, you have a likelihood that they're going to like at least touch it, like you said. But what is the actual, I think part of it is the action or the incentive that you attach to it, right? A general like
like this is what we're kind of going to give people 3 options to like support our business. So like option 1, bring this coupon in and receive $10 off your $50 purchase. Option 2, follow us on social media. Like we have tips about products and we like, we're entertaining. Sure. Option 3, tell your friend, like just mention us or something like that that's actionable that you can say, but I don't know.
Yeah. So I like action for sure. But again, back to like confused minds don't make decisions. Multiple options confuse people and then they don't know what to do. So like having just one clear thing, I think it works pretty well for restaurants, for example, that send out coupons. Like you have the coupon to go in and there's a deadline by which time it can be used. That's another important part of it, because otherwise, like I just threw out a coupon yesterday that expired in January. I was like, oops, forgot to use that. Like, so sometimes, people just get busy and they forget to do things, but I think it would be worth experimenting for sure. And probably Canada Post has some information on the effectiveness, like that they will sell it to you with.
That makes sense.
Please be cautious of that kind of an idea, because they will tell you different than what the actual numbers are. Same as the phone book advertising, Yellow Pages. They could skew the numbers to be whatever they want to get you to buy. And they get you in a hotspot and think, oh yeah, this will work beautiful. Make sure you talk to find 6 or 7 of your business friends that have used that kind of advertising and see what they got for results.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the easiest thing I could recommend.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. So Jocelyn Maytab for sure does it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You can get a hold of Jag. That would be one. Thanks for being here, Jem. I saw you kept coming on your screen. Did you have any questions you want to ask before you have to jump? I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to. It did just get me thinking though, one of the things that you want to consider before choosing any kind of marketing tactic. So again, like the tactical thing, like should I do a mail out? Should I do a social media post? Anything else? Is what is your bigger goal? Like, what is the goal that you're like, does this thing help you achieve your goal around brand awareness, around getting people into the store, around making sales in the month of July, or like whatever specific goal, all of those things probably that would do, right? And if you can, nod and check that off, then yes, that's something to try. and see how it works. But all of it is an experiment all the time. It's always going to be. And sometimes you're like, okay, I've got this dialed in. And for the last year, we've been doing, this ad campaign and this marketing tactic and this social media stuff. And it was all working really well. And then it blows up. It doesn't work anymore. And you have to shift. And that's what it's going to be like forever. I don't know if that is a great thing to say, but just to curb expectations, like even when people are, like I'm working with a coach right now who had created a system to make like basically millions of dollars of passive income sales. So she's got the system, but it's always being tweaked, and it's with Facebook ads and social media ads and stuff. So it's always being tweaked to know whether, like, see if this one works, see if that message works. The actual ad itself, you even as a consumer, you can see that different things are coming up. Like I'm seeing like basically reels being advertised, like things with popular audios on them are getting boosted and sponsored. And like, that's not even original content that people are like spending money behind to get you to see it. So it's really interesting how things are shifting, and it's a constant evolution. Like your marketing strategy will be in constant evolution. And as your goals change and as the tactics, stop working or work really well, then you want to double down on them and do more of it, or not do it anymore, because maybe even you're just sick of making Instagram videos, if we ever get sick of that. No, we won't get sick of that. It's fun. Amazing. Okay. Well, I want to make sure that for those of you who aren't already like in my online world, I'm just dropping this link here. I have a free workbook that if you don't already have it, please feel free to subscribe there and download that. And it has a few more prompt questions around thinking about who your ideal client is and what your story is and some of your messaging and some of your values around identifying your brand. So I'll just put that there for you. And I'm willing to hang out longer if you have more questions.
If I might just add one more really quick little bit of information. So last week I learned how to put my company onto Google. And I've been in business since 2017. I went through COVID and I was able to keep my business afloat through COVID, which completely shut us down.
Mm-hmm.
I added a delivery service halfway through COVID and I was able to keep my business afloat. But I put my Google page up about a week and a half ago, so about 10 days. And within the first 6 days, I had 46 hits on my Google search. So it's important that I didn't realize how big it was, but it is important that our businesses get onto Google. Go onto the Google map, put your business in place on your Google map, go in and fill out all the information you can. And then what I did was I sent a message to all of my clients that I knew that I have in contact. And I said, please give me a review. And in one day, I've gotten 6-7 reviews on my business, all 5-star reviews. And none of them are skewed. They're all actual clients. I could do what other people do and put on a bunch of friends, family, and all of that and get them to do it. Many of my friends and family have already been in the limo, so they will have no problem giving me a review for it. But I sent it out to people that are just complete clients. And yeah, I think it's 7 or 8 as of this morning since yesterday. So
that's awesome.
And so those are important because I've already moved up the Google search page by 4 notches since the day before yesterday. So
yeah, and you get good analytics from that too. You can see how many, you get like a report every single month from Google.
Absolutely.
Saying how much visibility you've gotten. Plus, like, Google kind of owns the internet, so you want them to know who you are.
Very much.
Right? That's one of those like shared platforms where it's free for you to have a listing there. So, complete it, and it gives you the opportunity to get that social proof from clients and get the reviews and allow that to help build up your business awareness online as well.
Yeah, correct. And so the one thing I'm really gonna listen to what you had said earlier in your conversation was about owning your own business and your own content. And I currently don't have I have a website. I actually run all on social media and word of mouth. But you're right. You made a comment that what if Facebook were to shut down tomorrow? What would happen to our businesses? The likelihood of that happening is very much almost none. However, if it were to have a glitch, and we've seen it in the past where they have a glitch and they're missing for 4 or 5 hours, it can happen, and it would sure be nice to have that backup. So I'll be sitting down, and I don't have a lot of money, so I'm doing a lot of this stuff on my own. I'm going to teach it to myself. I'm going to sit down with the help of a friend and build myself a website. Very basic website, but something that I can completely control, because all of those things become very expensive if you have to pay somebody else to do it all.
Oh, 100%. And so that's another like important comment on thinking about your marketing pieces is your resources, right? Like, you know, having a big fancy website that costs $5,000 is not something everyone even needs, right? But having an online presence that you maintain that allows you to at least talk about what you do, show some images, and have a way for people to contact you is for sure a necessity. But there's a lot of really inexpensive ways that you can go about doing that. Check out Fiverr or some of those other places that allow you to like get really inexpensive support for building things like that. Like they'll have like a base price by Jess. And then there's like free online courses to help you build websites. The public library system gets you access to lynda.com, lynda.com, and they have like all kinds of walkthroughs. I DIY'd my website when I first started too, and I spent a lot of time watching a video and then doing WordPress and then going back to the video. Plus there's a lot of like really simple templates out there. I didn't want to like scare people that if you're using social media, you know, what if it all goes away? It's true though. It's something we have to always be aware of is what risks are there with the way that we're doing things. And it's not even just if Facebook shuts down, but I was literally just before this seeing somebody that I know who's had their account hacked, right? And then you lose your Instagram or your Facebook account, and you can't get it back, and you still have to rebuild it from scratch. So anybody who was there and part of your audience is now just gone because of that. So
that's pretty devastating as well. And you could get hacked, or you could go through any various sort of arrangements that allow you to lose all of your content. I had a friend, Facebook literally closed his account. He had pictures from when his kids were little, and his kids are in their late teenager years now. So, and he lost it all because he didn't have a backup of any sort of it on it. Just put everything to social media. And that, unfortunately, that's what our young people do. My daughter-in-law, that's how she takes pictures on Snapchat and all of these things for the kids of my granddaughter. And so when I ask her for those pictures 2 days later, they're gone because they were on Snapchat. It's like, you guys have the opportunity to take a picture. You have a phone in your hands
all the time.
You can keep it. All it takes is pressing photo, not Snapchat.
Oh my goodness.
It drives me nuts. Shayla, you have a daycare where?
No, I don't have the daycare. I'm a chaos coordinator.
You're a what? Chaos? What's chaos? Here, that's football. Here, that's ladies football, but.
No, I'm helping people get organized in their personal and professional life.
Oh, cool. So do you have a Facebook page or a phone or that?
I'm actually just at the very beginning stages. I'm hoping to launch my business at the end of the summer. So I'm working on my website right now. I do have social media pages, but there's nothing on them yet. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, it was wonderful having you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about the Google page. Do you have to put in a physical address to get that page?
I did. Well, to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I have both my home page, my home address on my Google page or on my Google, and I have my shop where I rent public space from, or my shop space from. And I have them both on there, and I have them both tagged with my company address. So if you're running your company from your home, you should be able to punch in click on your home on the Google page or on Google Map, click on your home, and then I think it's a right click on it. I want to say you right click on it and it says add your address or add your business page. I believe that's what it says, is add your business.
Okay.
So they do require a physical address for the map, and they actually will verify that by sending you a postcard in the mail. Yep. But if you don't want to use your personal address, a couple of options are to look at like PO boxes that you can rent from like the post office, or like co-working spaces often have a virtual membership. So you'll notice like my address is the corner co-working space, because like I can just use his address to be my physical presence if I don't want people to know where my personal home address is, right?
Okay, cool.
And it's fairly easy, like just Google my business and it'll give you the steps on how to make that page happen. Or okay. Like even because when you Google yourself, sometimes you see, like if you Google something and you see like something on the side that says, do you own this business? They haven't done their Google My Business present yet. So when you see like you Google something and it brings up that quick menu of like phone or get your, click on the website or whatever, and it's like those nice little icons at the top, that's the Google My Business part.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. You can, if you want, you can save the chat by opening the chat and clicking on the three little buttons. And that gives you everybody's information shared in the chat. Amazing. Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to staying connected with all of you. Thanks for being here at Entrepreneur School. I want to let you know about our next event, which is happening on June the 15th. I'm bringing in a guest for that. Her name is Chelsea Westman. She is a productivity specialist. She's amazing, specifically talking about how to run a business and be present as a parent at the same time. So she has 3 little kids and an online business. And I think she works like 20 hours a week, but she's got all of these systems in place to help her to do that, to make sure that, you know, you've got the foundation to be able to grow a business and work while you have children and keeping them at home or whatever you choose to do. So if you are a parent or you know a parent who you would like to recommend that to, oh, hey, Christiane, now I know who you are for sure. Please do let them know to check out entrepreneurschool.ca, where all of our events are. I'll actually just drop the link here in the chat. So it makes it easier for you guys, which entrepreneurschool.ca is the thing that I say because it redirects to this part of my website. Where the events are. And so you can register already for upcoming events. And you can also go on there and you can subscribe to get emails about our upcoming events too.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks. Glad to have you here.
Hope to see you in the future.
Absolutely. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.